love ordering from the Natasha Denona website because she's already here. For today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the new Natasha Denona Mini Triochrome palette, which if you missed my shopper drop, I said this color story wasn't for me. For me personally, I'm not rocking blues really ever, except for in my videos and for today since we're reviewing this. But I am over the moon for my color lovers, particularly my blue lovers, and I do think despite this not being my favorite color story, coming out with such colorful mini palettes makes a lot of sense. Huge kudos to Natasha Denona. I truly feel like she's listening to her consumer base. And yeah, she's not afraid to go out there because it doesn't get any more out there than this palette. So to support the brand and of course help you guys out, I did pick this palette up. But you guys know, if I didn't do what I did for a job, this would have been a drop for me. It's just not for me, so do keep that in mind throughout this review. But we're going to take a look at the colors. We're going to take a look at the quality. So you can pick this up at Sephora, Natasha Denona, Beautylish, Ulta, all the places. I'll have that linked down below. This little guy is $27. I always say, you know, if you do price per gram, it's not really a good value compared to her bigger palettes. However, this is a way to get a taste of Natasha Denona's formula without spending like $60+ all at once, as well as this is extremely travel friendly, really tiny but still a lot of colors. So I still think even though the price per gram value isn't great, the idea of it is great, and I still think it's a phenomenal value. So this is supposed to be an extension to the Triochrome palette, which I thought was such an underrated palette. The mattes in here are incredible. My only thing that I have to say about this being an extension to the Triochrome palette is the mini Triochrome, it doesn't have the grungy tones and mattes that I feel like the Triochrome palette has. The original big Triochrome palette, right? It has that underlying grungy vibe. Somebody commented, and I totally have to agree, that it almost looks like an extension of Circo Loco. If you're not familiar with Circo Loco, look at that. I mean, there's already a lot of blues in this palette, but yeah, I have to agree with you. The vibrancy of the shades in the mini Triochrome are giving more Circo Loco, which I can only imagine if there ever is a mini Circo Loco to come out, how colorful that one is going to be. But actually, I didn't realize this. The multi-chrome shade matches the exact packaging of the Triochrome palette. I don't know if the shifts are going to pull, but yeah, it's the exact same shift. So I've already pulled the palette out, but here is what it's going to come in. The palette is made in Italy with a 24-month shelf life, and it also has an explanation of the color name and formula. And then, of course, we have the actual palette, which I love this packaging. I feel like it's quite sturdy for being such a cheap palette, if you will. And then this back part also is going to match the multi-chrome shade. So let's get to swatching. So we're going to start off with Voltaic, which is easily the most vibrant color. And then we have Strike, which is the multi-chrome shade. It feels very creamy. Then we have Stratos, which is a creamy matte. So we have this really vibrant cobalt blue, which isn't swatching super duper pigmented, which honestly is a good thing because shades like this sometimes can be too flaky, making them difficult to blend on the eye, so that might be a good sign. Here is our multi-chrome shade. Now I expressed in my shopper drop, I don't really care for the multi-chrome shades in the Triochrome palette or just that Natasha Denona does in general, and I can confirm this is the same formula in the big Triochrome palette. However, I did say, you know, if you compare this to an indie brand, they aren't going to be nearly as pretty as the indie brand, but this one is better for more mature eyelids because it's a more thin, slick formula, whereas indie brands, and this was a comment from one of you, definitely have like a chunkier, thicker, more creamy consistency, which can emphasize texture. So that's why it might be better for more mature lids. And then we have the deep navy shade, which is swatching not great. These are blues, and blues tend to not swatch fantastic. So I think that's what we're experiencing, but we'll see how it applies on the eyelid. And then we're gonna get into Overcast, which is a creamy matte, and then Arrow, which is a metallic shade. So we have this powder baby blue, which I'm excited to use as an eyelid shade, and then just classic metallic silvery shade. I feel like it pulls more silver than baby blue, but that's the shades we are dealing with today. To see if we can get some versatility in the looks, we're going to do 2 different looks today. And so the first one is going to, of course, have the multi-chrome all over the eyelid. We're not doing anything unpredictable here. Okay, so I'm debating on how I want to go about this. So I think we're going to start off with this shade right here. And this is going to be the inner half of the crease color. And this shade is the lightest matte, and I feel like we can have some fun with this all over the eyelid. Maybe I'll do that for the next look, we'll see. But for now, this is going to be our starter shade here in the crease. And then I need to see exactly how vibrant this is. And you know, these swatched, not fantastic, but as long as they're not patchy and can blend, I'll be happy with that, because these blues, you guys, are not easy to formulate. It was very bold of Natasha to create such a colorful blue vibrant palette, because I'll be honest, this is a hard formula to get down for shades of this tone. So I'm just blending that in the outer V. So far so good. It's building up. We will go in with some depth later on here, but I'm just seeing the behavior of this. I'm gonna go into the first brush that I use that has that lighter crease shade left over. We're gonna blend that out. No patchiness, pretty easy to blend. Okay, great. And then now let's see what this navy is like. Just using Rephr brushes, and that first brush was a What's Up Beauty brush. Okay, this is adding some nice depth. I think we'll do this as an eyeliner too, but these are all blending in quite seamlessly together. I'm going to carry this super dark shade all the way in to the crease. Then I'm going to go back with a couple of shades. But so far I'm not having any issues with blending, which is really nice. Okay, great. And then I'm going in with a What's Up Beauty R110, and let's see how the multi-chrome shade works. I'm tapping off my brush, and this is pretty deep, so this eye is going to be quite smoky. It's applying really nice. Yeah, I would say all of these shadows have good Natasha Denona quality. I'm going to take a pointed brush, Rephr number 3, and we're going to see how this silver does as the inner corner color. And then we're just going to create a C shape above the multi-chrome. And below the brow bone. Then I'm going to go in with an angled brush into the deepest shade. Not going to wet it or anything, but I want to see if this can build up as an eyeliner. I will say it's not as deep as I was hoping it would be. You know, a lot of times I find with Natasha Denona mattes, they can build up a lot of depth just on themselves and work as eyeliner. This one is just a little bit too vibrant. I mean, it's working as an eyeliner, but you know, the lid color, the crease colors, they're just so dark that this is really not building up depth. And then lower lash line, nothing unpredictable here. Going in with the vivid blue shade. Now be careful. with this being blue, you don't want to over blend it too low. You want to keep it pretty tight to the lash line. And then using the deepest shade. Then I actually think we're going to keep the multi-chrome alone on the upper eyelid, and I'm just using the brighter shade down here on the lower lash line. And I think that'll be good for now on this look. Okay, so I need to use this matte shade all over the lid. So that's what we're gonna start off with. And I'm just gonna pat it. It actually is deeper than I thought it would be. I imagined it as a super light baby blue on me, which it is a baby blue, I guess, but it's just not as like white as I thought it was gonna be. If you have a deep complexion, by the way, this palette is gonna be so good on you. But wow, really great pigment here. We're just gonna carry this pretty far overall in the eyelid, like so. I don't know where I'm going with this look, so stick along for the ride here. And then let's use this shade, and we're gonna circle this in the outer corner to start. And I want to keep the depth pretty far towards the outer corner. And I'm not doing any of the fun angled looks that you see on Natasha Denona's website. It's just not my style. I love a blend. Don't even think I could do it. And then I'm going to go into the deepest shade and really keep this tight to the lower lash line. Or not lower lash line, outer corner. Okay, yeah, so I do want to blend this shade a little higher towards the crease. We're going to do more of a blown out look than I anticipated. So I'm now blending the top of the blue shadow, the light blue. I have to get a little bit more specific than just blue in an all blue palette. Okay, and then going back into the crease colors that I used, starting off with our more vivid one, which honestly I feel like it's not that vivid on the eyelid. Just make sure it's really well blended. I do wish the light blue was even lighter for some more variety and depth here, because in my head online this baby blue was so bright, which I thought would add a lot of more versatility to the palette, and I definitely still think that. Make sure everything is blended nicely. And then lower lash line, I'm going to go in with our multi-chrome shade. This will just add a fun element. And then in the outer part of the lower lash line, I do want it to be matte because we still want that depth. And then I'm going to take an angled brush and I'm going to really get in there. I'm going to wet my brush. And we're going to use the multi-chrome shade as the eyeliner. Why not? It won't add too much depth to this look, but it's a fun option that I feel like not a ton of people are going to utilize, myself included in that group. That will just lead into how we utilized it on the lower lash line and kind of pull the look together in that way. Cool. Alright, so here's the final look kind of put together. I'll have everything that I'm wearing down below in the description box. So, overall first impressions of this, I think the quality is really great. I will say there is less variety in depth than I thought there was going to be. I really feel like this being lighter would have been a whole game changer. And because of that, without there being as much depth as I wanted or varying depths as I wanted, the looks are going to look a little bit closer to one another than I had originally thought in my shopper drop. But I think what is impressive is the way that these blues blended. I find with blues like this, particularly something as vivid as this can look quite patchy and hard to blend on the eyelid. Even me, who has a lot of experience with blending eyeshadows, I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, but you know, I got some experience. Sometimes I can struggle with blues that are like this, and I did not struggle at all. I feel like everything blended out really seamlessly. As I'm saying that, I'm like, maybe I should have blended this a little bit more before I talked about what a good blender I was. Jeez. Whatever. They are easier to blend than a lot of blues. This multi-chrome right here, it's not as impressive, as reflective, as glittery or textured as maybe some indie shadows. However, as one of you guys pointed out, much better for more mature eyelids because of that slick smooth formula. So if you liked that formula in the big Triochrome, then you will like it. If you didn't in the big Triochrome, it's that same formula, so just keep that in mind. But I'm very impressed with the mattes. Blue is not my favorite color, so I probably won't reach for this one a lot, but I will give this credit where credit is due. I think the quality on this is really nice. And if you love blues, I'm really excited for you. I think that this is a good pickup or a good way to add blues into your collection. So that's all I have for today's review. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me down below. And yeah, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye, kids. Have a good one.